Hello everyone, my name's Dean. Let's talk crypto. This is where you subscribe for daily Bitcoin updates and technical analysis. We track the price of Bitcoin as a proxy for the cryptocurrency markets at large. Today is January 29th, 2025. And there's not that much that's changed since my last update, but I felt like making another update just because today we may see some volatility in the markets given the FOMC meeting. And I just want to explain this for people who may be new to the channel and my take on these sort of fundamental events. So if that all sounds interesting to you, then watch until the very end. Hope everyone's having a great day. Let's get started. Let's look at Bitcoin on the 4-hourly time frame. Okay, here we have exactly what where we've been for the past few days. You have Bitcoin having retested, or actually, let me rephrase that. Bitcoin is currently retesting the midline of this, I think it's a 40-day channel. Let me check again. Yeah, it's a 40-day channel. So the midline of the 40-day channel, and we know that when you're above the midline of a channel, it's considered support. So Bitcoin is at a temporary support level. Okay, so on the higher intraday time frames, you're talking about Bitcoin being supported by this level right here of around 97, 98K. And if this support is established, we're then looking for a push up to the next logical resistance, which is up here around 108, 109, and then, at the very most, around 112, 113, 115 would be our cap based off of our technical analysis that we went through at length in the last video. So I'm not going to go over that again. In any case, Bitcoin is kind of not doing anything, and we're not expecting too much from it. All right, all we're expecting is a modest push to the upside after some maybe like consolidation, mini consolidation. We're expecting a mega dump. Okay, time frame for that is soon. I can't tell you exactly when. That hasn't changed. Let's zoom in now to the smaller time frame, so an hourly time frame. And when you're talking about the Fed meeting, right? And the Fed meets what is it, like 8 times a year, I think it is. It's not often, but as you can see, the next meeting is officially from the time of recording in about 2 hours. Okay, and there's a whole thing to this, and people who don't understand markets will mistake the announcements and the reaction to the announcements for what moves markets. But it's not at all what moves markets. It's what causes temporary volatility, right? But what moves markets are accumulations and distributions. They're consolidations that take a long time to form, and then you get the result of those consolidations after something, right? A precipitating event. And the Fed announcement is that exactly. It's a precipitating cause. So typically on these days where the Fed is announcing a policy rate change, the move isn't to trying to understand based off of what they say how the market will move. You should already know where the market's going to move, because the market is poised to move in the direction that it's been showing you based off of the high time frame analysis. This is why we do technical analysis, right? So we're expecting a move up in the aggregate, but when you go on the smaller time frames, before expecting that move up that we just discussed to 109 minimum, 114, 15 maximum, here's why it wouldn't be out of the realm of possibility to expect a move up. or sorry, down, down, down. First down, then up. Okay? And again, none of this analysis has anything to do with the rate change and what the projected rate change is, the interpretation of what the that rate change should be. That's all noise. And trading takes a lot of patience. There's a lot of downtime. There's a lot of sideways price action. For those of us in the cryptocurrency space, we've been waiting on altcoins to do something for years, quite literally years. So there's a lot of time to fill, okay? And that time can be filled with people postulating and kind of making things up for how markets move. Powell's gonna do this and Powell's gonna do that. That's literally not how it works. It's not. And you can backtest all of this, right? If it were, then we would be able to understand market moves simply, exactly based off of what policy decisions are made. And in a second, we're going to look at why FOMC decisions create short-term volatility. It's all based off of the US dollar currency index, which is the underlying asset to most risk-on assets, to most things that are bought with the US dollar that people trade or speculate against, okay? But the reason I'm seeing a short-term drop in Bitcoin, first, again, nothing to do with the policy rate. I don't even know what that's supposed to be or what the interpretation should be or what people are expecting. It doesn't fucking matter. What matters is that here you have a rising wedge, and rising wedges tend to break down. So probabilistically, I'm expecting Bitcoin to break down from this rising wedge that you've been in since Monday, okay? So that's about 72 hours of a rising wedge. You're coming here, coming here, coming here. I'm expecting that. The other reason I'm expecting that is, again, on the 4-hourly time frame, you know that this is our support, as we said, the midline of this 40-day channel. And if you're going to retest a 40-day support, you're not just going to do it with one candle right there, one 4-hourly candle. You're going to do it okay, I have to qualify this. There are times you can get a single retest of a level, but then if that single retest is sufficient, what you're going to see is a massive move from there, okay? And you're completely gone. That happens in big retracements, kind of like the big retracements we're expecting in Bitcoin down to the 65 to 69K level. I'm expecting that retracement to only take a day or so, whereby all that liquidity is captured in a short amount of time and the price rockets back up. With Verve, you're not dilly-dallying, but when you dilly-dally after a retest like this, you're more likely than not going to retest it again. So that's what I'm seeing. I'm seeing this throughout the market. You're basically in mini consolidations, accumulations, right, to be specific, where again you can count these as 2 degrees of AB basing and a pivot, or 3 pairs of AB bases. I'm seeing that this is the first, perhaps this is the second, or maybe this is the second right here, and then you look for a third before moving up, okay? So that's kind of what I'm seeing. I do think Bitcoin comes down back to this support level of 97, 98K thereabouts, and that may be precipitated by that, Fed announcement in 2 hours from the time of recording, okay? Wouldn't be surprised if that were a short-term move, but again, trying to trade all of these short-term things is a losing effort. Obviously, there are scalp traders out there that, make a living on that. That's a completely different game. I'm still of the opinion that on a medium-term time frame, Bitcoin is likely to consolidate here, move up, consolidate there, move down. That's about it. Nothing's really changed. But I just wanted to address the whole Fed thing because I think it's blown out of proportion and people have really nothing better to do, nothing better to speculate on. So they talk about how this moves markets, and people who don't know any better believe them and go along with that kind of under that rationale. Okay, so looking at the US dollar currency index, basically this is exactly what the Fed is manipulating. The relative value of the US dollar, the perceived value of the US dollar based off of their pronouncements. Okay, that's basically all the Fed can do. That's basic Econ 101. They set policy, and that policy by definition sets the rates of sort of borrowing and lending. So that's pretty much all. And based off of those rates, the dollar is perceived to be stronger or weaker vis-a-vis the basket of foreign world reserve currencies that it's measured up against. So what you're seeing here in the US dollar currency index is just that. Okay, if the US dollar currency index from that pronouncement goes up, then expect Bitcoin and other risk on assets to go down, and vice versa. But I think what you're going to see is this gap filled. So at some point, maybe it goes up, down. That gap filled makes it so that Bitcoin eventually goes up. That again, see, this is all a losing effort. It's like so... It's so volatile. You're just going to see volatility in both directions, but the larger move is going to be up. Although, do expect, with a high degree of probability, that rising wedge on Bitcoin to break down first. So whatever happens in the US dollar currency index, I think at some point you're going to come down, fill this gap, because these gaps tend to fill, and you're going to get some volatility here. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say about the DXY and the Fed pronouncement today. And again, it's not that important what Bitcoin's doing right now, because if you look at Bitcoin's chart, and a lot of people have, and you're still confused as to what's happening, then I don't know what to tell you. It's not that difficult, especially at this point, right? The idea is the longer a move takes, the longer a move is forming, the more data you have. The more data you have, the more confident you can be in the conclusions reached therefrom. And we have so much data on these past 60 days of price action. If you can't tell what this is, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to tell you. I mean, in so many different ways, this is very clearly a bearish retest. Very clearly. I mean, you have a top here. You have a top here. You're thinking you're just going to invalidate these tops? I mean, you've been making tops for the better part of 60 days here. A top, a top, a top, a top. You've been pretty much playing out the bearish playbook of rounding tops, right, on a high time frame. You shouldn't expect that the price, let's put this in properly here. You shouldn't expect that the price all of a sudden break a high time frame pattern that it's been forming over the past 60 days just because you want it to. And again, that's what people do, right? People people see what they want to see, not necessarily what their eyes are telling them. But this is quite clear, my friends. Here you have a rounded top forming out. We can adjust this here. But anytime you're forming a rounded top, understand that you're forming an extremity with a high degree of probability. So when we're looking at Bitcoin and we're assuming that it's going to go up in the medium short term and that our targets are going to be between 110 and 113, as we said in the last episode, this is consistent with the past 60 days of price action right here, right? We have almost 70 days of price action. this right here is our resistance, right? If you were to be bullish on Bitcoin beyond that trade thesis and saying, oh, you know, the next target's 135, you have to understand what you're saying, right? It's not an opinion that the price has formed a rounded resistance at this level. And rounded resistances, once again, on a high time frame, typically designate high time frame market tops. So this is what you're looking at, right? You're looking at Bitcoin coming to a maximum of 110, 111, 112, something like that, right? It's just there on the charts for you to see if you want to see it. A lot of people don't want to see it, but that's fine. But this is what is clear, okay? And so Bitcoin isn't that interesting insofar as what it's doing because it hasn't really done anything any different for the past 60 to 70 days. But altcoins are exactly where you want them. Altcoins are doing what we want them to do, right? Obviously, you know, besides breaking out tremendously, they're in the position we want them in, right? People who are bearish on Bitcoin or kind of confused on Bitcoin can't necessarily see the potential in altcoins. Not all altcoins, but a lot of altcoins, okay? Again, you're not seeing a crazy amount of potential in Ethereum or Cardano or in Stellar Lumens because those have already pumped. The altcoins you should be really excited in or about are the ones that haven't. Look at your Bitcoin dominance chart, okay? And we've been looking at this for quite some time, but again, it stands to really reiterate how bullish this is for those altcoins that are on support. The daily time frame analysis of this Bitcoin dominance chart is telling you that this is topped out, right? If this is topped out and this really is a resistance, this 100 and some odd day resistance, right? Again, this was support, as you can see very clearly, for 100 days, right? And then that support was flipped to resistance. And now for the past 60 some odd days, ever since Bitcoin has been in its distribution, altcoin or Bitcoin dominance has been under resistance. That is bullish for altcoins. Not all altcoins, but those altcoins that are on support. Again, this is, you know, people hate nuance, especially, you know, you're a bull or you're a bear, you're a Democrat, you're a Republican, you hate crypto, so you don't want it to see it go up. Why are you so bearish? No, I'm just reading the chart. It doesn't have to always be so Manichaean, black or white. Sometimes you can have a bit of nuance, and the nuance is that this Bitcoin dominance chart, which is clearly at resistance and has been for the past 60 some odd days, 70 days, right, is showing you that it's about to break down. It's been taking its time. It's very clearly, though, at resistance. You can see this in the Bitcoin or in the stochastic RSI momentum indicator, right? On the daily time frame, it's topped out. It's topped out on the 4-hourly time frame. As you can see here, a lot of wicks to the top, right? It's pretty much not capable of breaking this resistance to the top side, and it's making confirmed bearish divergences. Look at this. This is a top right here, and this is a higher high. Let's zoom in. So this is a 4-hourly time frame, right? Look, we've got here on the chart a higher high on the chart, okay? Here we have a confirmed bearish divergence. That is a strong confirmed bearish divergence, very clear, right? In terms of divergences, when you're dealing with divergences in the stochastic momentum indicator, if the stochastic momentum indicator makes a lower high, right, while the chart's making a higher high, that constitutes strong confirmed bearish divergence. You have that here, but you don't even need all of that. I mean, it's quite clear here with all of these doji wicks, right, where dojis are basically where you have the candle wick making a strong move to the upside, but then the body of the candle is below, you have that showing exhaustion of trend over and over and over again. It's not a question of if, it's now a question of when this breakdown is going to come from this area. Okay, so that's what we see on the Bitcoin dominance chart. And then when we look at altcoins specifically, we can see this, and I'm gonna leave this on the chart. I'm just gonna make it less yeah, let's make it dotted, and I'm just gonna leave that on the chart because it's so, I mean, it's just so clear, right? So what you see in looking at the actual altcoins, let's just use we're only again talking about altcoins on support, not those at resistance. Altcoins on support, my friends. There's a lot of altcoins that are at resistance because they already pumped, but again, like Balancer, this is on support, very nice support. And just like we talked about in Bitcoin, seeing a rounded top, right? Extremities are typically rounded. So tops and bottoms are typically rounded in price action. I don't know why that is, but in looking at charts for tens of thousands of hours over the course of many years, this is my observation. There must be a good mathematical reason for this. I don't know what it is, but tops and bottoms, when they're, extremities are typically rounded at some point in time. That's what the chart shows you. And this is what you're seeing in Balancer right here on the 4-hourly time frame. You're seeing a nice bottom here as the price left this a zone of consolidation, moved up, came down, retested the top of that previous zone of consolidation as support in a nice 1, 2, 3, a nice rounded consolidation. That is what you call a support level, okay? And that support level is bullish. Okay, I understand it's very, very, very frustrating because it has yet to move, but this is what you want to see. That's the stuff you want to buy. And this is consistent with what we're seeing in the Bitcoin dominance chart, okay? And on the really small time frame, all that you're doing here is you're making a small time frame consolidation, right? Every single time you make a move down or up impulsively, you have to follow it up with a consolidation, either accumulation or distribution. And so what you're seeing in the altcoin space are a bunch of small time frame accumulations in my estimation. So this is, you might have one more move down here before you round that out. Okay, because I think once you're finished, there won't be a question of if you're done. It's just gonna run. And these are the ones that I was saying in the previous episode are set to give you 5 to 6x in a short amount of time before making any major retracements. Okay, let's look at one more example and then get out of here. All right, so Balancer is one, and I've talked about that a bunch on the channel. Let's see, let me fix my chart. Okay, let's look at something different, not the same thing every single time. Let's look at, no, we looked at that last time. Let's look at Hooked Protocol. Okay, so Hooked Protocol, this is a more what's the word I can use? This is a more daring example. This is a less obvious example of something you'd be like, what, that's a nice chart? Yeah, it's a good chart. It's just not as, this is more risky. This is less confidence inspiring. But the potential for this is very, very good to the upside, okay? This is something that did everything you want it to do, meaning it retraced to the downside, like very acutely in the bear market. And after that retracement, right, ever since July of 2024, it's been sideways, okay? And that sideways basically, for those of you who don't understand, what the sideways is whenever you see a move up, understand that that move up was formed by the seed of consolidation. Any impulsive move that you see that's sustained, either up or down, is the result, the direct result of a consolidation. So a consolidation of accumulation yields a sustained up move. A consolidation of distribution yields a sustained down move. This is why it's not that hard. There's a cause and effect, okay? And this is why you don't want to just jump into short time frame meme coins that have no price action history, because they have to do all of this before making sustained moves to the top side, right? If you look at a lot of the memes, they will do something like this. Let me clean this up. They'll do something like this and then come right back down. You can't get sustained moves in either direction without forming the kind of preceding or the necessary consolidation. I hope that makes sense. So this is the kind of thing you want to see, okay? And now, on a high time frame, sure, it's questionable. Maybe that's enough, maybe it's not. But jumping down, you can see a little better why this would be something I'd be interested in buying, okay? So this was my, what we call our low. I'm looking for the term. I'm forgetting the technical term right now, but this is the low that I use to calculate the actual beginning of the sideways consolidation, right? This is my low. Even though we made a lower low here, this is the low I'm calculating that started the sideways consolidation, and that is the low that basically ended the straight downwards price action. So from here, I'm counting consolidation. So that's from July of 2024, okay? So previous summer. And so when I'm looking at this, I'm seeing one pair of AB basing, two pairs of AB basing, okay? And right here is a pivot. That's three pairs of AB basing. I'm seeing the requisite moves in a consolidation, in an accumulation move. And that should take me up and out of my consolidation. And to leave a consolidation, again, the reason I did this is because you have to go and test the top, come back, retest the midline as support before leaving the boundaries of the channel. This channel that we've been in since July of 2024, 180-day channel, has to be left, or has to be sort of moved out of in the following way, right? Makes sense, right? So go up, come back, retest midline as resistance, and then you're off to the races. So that is basically what I'm seeing in this market. I mean, you can go up and down the list. There's a lot of such assets, but altcoins, I understand why people are saying altcoins are puking and they're not, they're making, like, there's nothing really to be hopeful about. But forget all of the hopium, forget all of the, like, just stick with it. And this is when altcoin season happens. Just look at the charts, and the charts are very, very promising insofar as they're indicating an imminent move in altcoins to the upside with sustained moves to the upside. Because understand this, and this is the last thing I'll say and we'll get out of here. Once this starts, once this kind of price action starts, and by kind of price action, let me be clear, this impulsive price action, it's a trend. It literally doesn't end until you reach a very high time frame resistance. So it's like a chain reaction. You're basically, for instance, going to get that first move up, and then that second move down, and that first move down rather, is going to be a retest of the midline, and then that's going to yield another move up, and then a retest of the top of the channel, and then another move up, and that's going to continue to go for months on and months and months and months and months, and you're just going to keep getting sustained upside. So once it starts, there's no, waiting again for, massive sideways consolidation. Like, once we leave this waiting period of altcoins moving sideways, generally speaking, it's over, right? Once alt season starts, for the majority of altcoins that have yet to make sustained moves to the upside, it starts. And it's a completely different game. There's going to be so many more of you here subscribed. Everybody's going to be interested in crypto again, but this is when you want to pay attention before the major moves are made. And you want to be in those assets that are likely to yield gains. So that's why, I do my crypto portfolio mentorship and consultation portfolio and my crypto portfolio consultation and mentorship service, because not everything's going to run. A lot of these memes are just going to, if they're serious and if they're good, they're going to continue to consolidate for the remainder of the bull market. People are going to be confused why they're not making sustained gains. All right. So yeah, that's all I've got. Like, share, and subscribe. If you got value, consider tipping me by Venmo, Cash App, Litecoin. Consider joining my crypto portfolio consultation and mentorship service, helping you figure out what to invest in, how to balance your portfolio, what entries to make, exits to make. 1 to 2 hours with me one-on-one every month. That's $150. You can sign up for it at the pinned comment below at Buy Me a Coffee. I think it's quite reasonable for what you get. And that's about it. I hope everyone's well. Take care, and I'll see you later. Bye.